And now we want to go and discuss about rethinking the customer experience. And to moderate this particular session for us, she is the editor-in-chief at CIO Africa. She's also in charge of the publications here at CIO Africa and runs every agenda for all our events. Ladies and gentlemen, and I say this with a lot of pride, she is a multiple award fashion journalist. It doesn't get better than that. And she is also a business strategist. Ladies and gentlemen, up next is none other than the ever so lovely Carol Odero. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Ian, for making my day. Hi, everyone. So just before we start talking about rethinking the customer experience, I would like to tell you that if you have any questions, please send them through so you can see if the panel can answer them. So I guess here we go. I want my panelists to introduce themselves. Hello, panelists.
Hello, Carol.
Hi. Can you all introduce yourselves and what you do? Well, start with you, Trevor.
Okay, I would have thought we'd have gone with ladies first, but yeah, my name is Trevor. I'm the co-founder of Ongea. Ongea is a customer support platform. We help businesses around the world deliver great customer support to their customers using platforms like WhatsApp and WeChat. And yeah, I'm very happy to be a part of this panel. Thanks.
Welcome. Daveen?
Hi everyone. Good afternoon for everyone. My name is Daveen Muragijimana. I head the global brand and communication marketing at Cellulant. Cellulant is a payments platform. We've been around for the last 18 years and built one of the largest payments gateway across Africa. So today we facilitate payments for merchants across Africa or merchants who want to collect payments across Africa. So this is a topic that we're very passionate about when it comes to customer experience. So I think we hopefully have gotten it right across Africa, but I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with the rest of the panelists. Thanks, Carol.
Great. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Carol. My name is Claire Munene. I'm the Director for Customer Experience at Telecom Kenya, one of the leading telecommunications companies in Kenya. And what I'm responsible for essentially is our customers and driving delightful experiences for our customers that are meaningful and help them do what is important to them.
I love that you use the word delightful because you're going to come back to that. But I want to ask you all one question, and I want you to tell me the first thing that pops into your head. Who owns the customer?
Okay. Is this for all of us?
Don't edit it. Don't edit. Just say it. You could say it's you because you're the one who's handling them. Okay, who owns the customer experience?
I would say from an organization perspective, the organization owns the customer experience. The entire organization owns that experience.
Oh, nice. Anyone else?
I agree with Claire that I think, and in fact, we once we realized that customer experience was being designated to one particular part of the business, we actually brought back a value of customer delight, no matter what it takes, which is an entire organization now is completely focused on customer experience because it's not, customer experience is so integrated that it can't be a one department job.
Right. Trevor?
Yeah, so I'll go with, I think I agree with both of them in an ideal world. I think most of us are striving to have customer-centric organizations, but sometimes we find that we're actually quite focused on other areas. So you might find some companies are very focused on processes and operationally, and then they forget the customer to whom all of this is serving. So I'd probably say ideally, yes, it is supposed to be an organization-wide goal and probably led from very, very senior people going down. But most of the times in practice, we find ourselves into these operational silos, and most of the people who care about customer experience tend to be more in the communication, marketing, customer support segment. But I don't think that's right. I think we should aspire to have customer-centric organizations where everybody believes that the customer is, that the experience is the most important thing.
You know, what's interesting is that I actually did not have any idea what the answer to this question is, because some people say it's the marketing team, some say it's the sales team, others say it's the organization. But if it's the organization, who's leading the championing against for customer service? So I still don't know what the answer is, but I'll go with whatever it is that you've said. So Claire, you talk about a delightful customer experience, and Divine, you usually say that you're customer obsessed. What do these words actually mean to the customer? I'll go with you, Claire.
Okay. From my perspective and where I sit and in my experience in this space, I would say a delightful experience for a customer is an experience that allows the customer to seamlessly access and do what is meaningful for them through either my product, service, or offering, and leave them feeling happy about it. That's what a delightful experience, I would say, is.
What about you, Divine?
I mean, I think it's what Clay is saying. I think delightful experience is, and from a payment, let's even look from a payments perspective. What we found out is that because customer needs are so divergent, for example, and they are becoming much more. So customers are demanding better experiences. They want more integrated experiences. So you find that the only way to actually delight the customer is almost meet them where they need you the most. And this could be anything between where they interact with your product, or they interact with your business development guys, or they interact with your whoever it may be, the call center or the customer, what we call the customer experience team. But however and wherever they interact with your team or your product or your services, you need to design it in such a way that you understand their needs, right? So customer delight, I think, is really around understanding your customer, understanding what they need, understanding how they get in touch with you or where they get in touch with you, and then creating that seamlessness. You know, Claire talks about seamlessness in experience. It's almost like the most critical thing that you need to focus on when you want to deliver the best experience for your customers, which is something I think when we talk about being obsessed about our customers is really understanding how do we deliver the most seamless experience for them.
Well, so Trevor, I have a question for you. As the co-founder of Ongea, actually, I like that name. Your business touches on customer service and generating feedback. So feedback from the US and Asia Pacific say that 1 in 6 customers call the line just to hear a human voice. So yet over the past 2 years, AI has been a consistent trend with the rise of the bot. So are we losing something significant? Are we losing the human touch if you're corresponding with the bot, and then this is what we are making front-facing for our customers?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think for us, we are focused further along the customer journey. So people come to our solutions when they want to figure out how to help their customers when the experience has gone wrong. The customer is not delighted, the customer is frustrated, and maybe disappointed in the expectation they had in the product or service that they bought. So there's been a big push towards deploying AI bots. Personally, for me, I feel they work really well in self-service situations where, we know that none of these products and services we're selling to our customers are perfect, but we have some scenarios where the customer is actually empowered to be able to solve some of those problems. And I think that's where AI is really, really powerful. Getting back to your question and that research, I think it's a fair point. Like, we've been so isolated for the last 2 years. Some of us just want to talk to a human being. And if you go into a situation where you're forced to deal with a bot, it can be quite frustrating. And one of the things that I normally talk to our clients, yes, we are selling you a tool, which is it's technology, but it doesn't exist in an abstract world. You also have to look at the motivations, the passions of your customer and what they're experiencing at that time. I'll give an example. Let's say I'm sending money to Claire, and I send it to the wrong number. At that particular moment, I'm going to be very anxious. If I have to deal with a bot and it's a time-sensitive thing, I'll end up being more frustrated, not even just about my mistake, but about the entire experience. So some of those things have to be curated, and you have to actually say, hey, I think there's some customer flows that would be best handled by a human being, and there are other flows that you could handle using automation. Because ultimately, I think a lot of managers in terms of customer support are trying to balance the efficiency and the cost reduction that they can get from bots with the eventual customer satisfaction that they have with that experience. And I think the goal is, if something has gone wrong with the product, you want to resolve the problem for the customer and convert them into an advocate for the business. So you also have to make sure that you're delighting them when you're solving their problem.
Okay. I like this delightful word. I'm beginning to expect to be delighted as a customer very soon. So Divine, you work with a company, it's a Pan-African company in 18 different countries, and they connect entrepreneurs and innovators. So COVID was a global crisis with a global impact on the customer experience. So how do you design experiences for all these 18 different countries? Do you have one template? Do you have different things for different areas of Africa, like West, East, and South? Or do you actually sit down and create something different for all the customers in this region?
That's a good question, Carol, because, and when you said that, I was just thinking how much to deep dive, because there's a lot when it comes to delivering it, like when you talk about seamless experience for all of Africa. But I think the best experience, what we found out is, because of COVID, but also because just generally customers have become smarter. They've become, unfortunately, more demanding, right? We've had to rethink how we do customer experience, and it's not just for cellular. I think every business have had to do this. And then, of course, when it came to COVID, it let's say accelerated the need for rethinking how we deliver customer experience as a business. But we found out that the best way to deliver customer experience is actually when the customer doesn't need to actually reach out to you. And the best way to create a seamless experience is when you can build a product that the customer actually uses. It's seamless, it's intuitive, it is it answers to the needs of the customer. So you understand the customer's needs enough that you can actually build a product that they never have to contact you. Now, this is the ideal world, but in the case that you need to be contacted, what we've done is build a multi-channel integrated experience. A lot of our teams, and what we've done is build in-country, so there's a bit of in-country customer experience teams that handle the specific nuanced needs for the markets. But a lot of the processes, how we do customer experience, our views, when we talk about customer delight, no matter what it takes, that is driven centrally. And we've tried to digitize as much of these processes as possible. But on top of that, build a product that is going to deliver the best experience and provide information to the customer without having to actually reach out to us. And for us, the metric is, the less the customer has to talk to us, the less the customer has to reach out to us, we feel that we've actually started winning that battle of customer experience and delivering delight, so to speak. So a lot of it has to do with just making sure that you understand the product and you're building a product that is almost as intuitive to the customer needs as possible, so that they don't actually need to reach out to you. And when they do, we build now some in-market but very central processes that allows us to be very specific about the kind of experience we want to deliver to the customer. So that's how we've answered it. We are still, again, COVID is still here, so we're still working on it, because customer experience is almost an ongoing process. But so far, so good.
Great. That sounds great. So Claire, Telkom is in the business of bringing people closer. You know, you connect people to their loved ones, and sometimes people connect over tragic things. So if they're having a negative customer experience, then it really impacts them. But connected customers are also happier. They have better mental health and even have improved fitness. So how do you position the customer experience to create more connections? Because a happy customers means a happy business.
That's an interesting analogy or background, Carol, and I do agree. A happier customer is happy business, and I'll leverage off the background of where we're coming from during this pandemic, and customer needs have greatly shifted and evolved. And I think Divine talked to this, and so did Trevor earlier, and I strongly agree with both their points. And moving forward, because that has shifted, it has forced us as an organization and as a business to relook at all our customer journeys across the board, all our customer touch points, all our customer channels, and redesign those journeys looking specifically not in the direction that Trevor mentioned in terms of automation and bots and artificial intelligence alone. Yes, that's important. But one thing we've learned in this journey that you alluded to, Carol, is that empathy is actually the key, we discovered, to making happier customers. Because like you rightly said, many of them have gone through tragic experiences, and those who have not still desire or require empathy, even in the journey. And this is one of the key items or keys we have discovered in this journey, and it's looking at empathy and infusing it into the design process of these journeys to create those experiences while understanding that customers are not homogeneous. They have individual desires and wants, and that's where technology comes in. It's using technology to allow you to design specific experiences for different customers in order to delight them. That's what I would say. Empathy. It's compassion over competence.
Interesting, especially since now brands are actually gaining more traction for a competitive advantage, as well as how they take care of their customers. So if you're a brand and you don't know how to take care of your customers, that's just too bad. It costs you money. And also, does it really matter whether you can scale up or scale down when it comes to customer service? So how personal can you really get?
I think I'll go first, Carol. I would say scale is important, depending on how huge. If you look at the telecommunications space, we're talking millions of customers, unless you're dealing in the luxury space, in which case it's more limited and probably easier for you to be able to say you'd have that high-touch one-on-one engagement. But scale is important, and that's where technology comes in terms of how do we use machine learning. How do you use the chatbots, but also incorporate behavioral science that infuses the empathy I was talking about earlier to be able to scale the meaningful, compassionate engagements across your base?
Anyone want to chime in?
Yeah, I think she mentioned something. I was thinking you asked whether personalization really matters, right? I think when it comes to customer experience, personalization is almost like the number one thing you need to think about. And I think this is almost a very biased, and I come from the brand perspective when we talk about where a brand's ability or a business's ability to know their customer, talk to them in a language they understand, in the context that they understand, and in a way that they can actually relate to you and pay attention to you, because there are maybe a million or one things that they're going to be doing at any given day. So your ability to connect to them at any given point becomes almost your number one metric on delivering customer experience. So, and I think whether you scale down or up is easy now because we have technology. I think you couldn't do this 10 years ago. With companies now like Ongea, you make it easy to be able to actually provide very personalized experiences. You're able to actually know your customers. Claire talks about machine learning and behavioral science, and just the fact that you can actually know your customers without having to create a big, humongous team to deliver personalization. So I think we have the advantage of technology, and I hope that more businesses actually start taking advantage of this, because personalization, understanding your customer, being able to speak to them in a way that touches their heart, because at the end of the day, I think customers are very emotional buyers, so you have to be able to really connect to them on a personal level for them to be able to buy your services and be your brand ambassadors at the end of the day.
All right. Trevor, do you have anything to add to that? You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I think scale is usually tied a lot to budget and cost. From obviously for me being a solution vendor, that's something that I tend to face a lot. And I still feel for us on the continent, support is still largely seen as a cost center. So it's seen as something to which we want to optimize and reduce spending on and increase efficiency. And it's not really seen as something that can drive advocacy, retention, and actually create value. We have studies where we've shown a lot of the interactions that are happening even in a customer support setting sometimes could even be pre-sales. So this person who you're talking to, you can actually upsell, you can actually give more value to. So I think it's a bit of an attitude change. Obviously, we have to deal in the real world. We can't give, we would like to personalize and make all the experiences, like you can imagine if you had a problem and the CEO is on one side, you would like to give that to everybody, but there are constraints. So I feel for me, like, yes, I think some of what Teliant is doing is good, like plan to succeed, try and reduce the instances where your customer has to contact you in the first place by designing better products, be more empathetic all the way from the design process. Things will go wrong, so you need to have some sort of allocation for that. But I've had very, very interesting conversations with people around cost for service, like how much does it cost for me to take a customer service call? Are there other ways I can mitigate things, even just educating customers? So you might find, like running an ad, teaching people how to use a product or a self-service channel. It costs money, but it ends up actually reducing some of the calls that you might have when people are using the product in an expected manner. So I think you have to just look at it holistically. But for me, I'm a bit biased, but I would just generally say, like, we need to stop looking at support as just purely a cost thing. It's something that we can differentiate with. It's a competitive advantage, and it definitely can provide a lot of input into the rest of the business.
You said something interesting there. When it comes to giving people an experience, part of what really matters is educating the customer, because you can create an app and it's something and it's brilliant and people love it and it looks great. But if they don't know how to use it, then that means that your app is not working. Have you had instances like this when it comes to feedback, and what did you do with it?
Yeah, that's the story of my life. And most of the times it's happened when we've begun with assumptions of what our customers think. So you're in this world where you're thinking, I think our customers need this. You go and build something without testing it from a research perspective. And especially for building software, it's very expensive. And those mistakes can be almost fatal for some businesses. So I think what we've learned really is sometimes just to put away the machines, put away some of the technical things, talk to people, talk to your customers, get that insight, get that research, and then come up with a plan. I found like the levels of success tend to be higher than just going straight out with your assumptions. Sometimes, obviously, the market doesn't know. You could be like Steve Jobs, you could be inventing a new segment, but for most of us mortals, I don't think making assumptions about our customers is a plan for success.
Well, the thing about customers is that, well, they're human, but they also talk. They talk a lot. So when you get feedback from your customers, what is the next step after getting the feedback, whether it is good or it's bad? What is it like for you, say, Claire? Because I know a lot of people would call you to complain about a lot of different things because you have different platforms as an ISP provider and then as a telecom operator.
You are right, Carol. You've made my mind run through. I think we tend to look mostly on the bad feedback or on complaints, which is good, but we need to also focus on the positive ones so that we can create more of those and understanding what makes our customers happy and being empathetic, putting ourselves in their shoes, understanding behavior so that you're able to be more proactive and not reactive. And I think that's generally the direction we have chosen to focus on as an organization in terms of understanding what makes them happy and how do I multiply that? And I think Devine talked to this earlier when she was saying, like in some cases for products, they would rather they don't call in and they're self-sufficient. Yes, that would be good. But however, sometimes there's good traffic, there's calls that you need or contact that you need that is probably in understanding what your offerings are, because they may not be clear, in which case that's good for the business. And the only way you can best understand that, and we try to do that, is having even a friendly customer group, which is something that we love to do in product testing, where you offer a product out to a group of customers, ask them to test it and use it, and give you feedback on its experience. And then it allows you, what that does is it allows you to clean it up, and bring it back to the wider community when it makes sense.
So I'd like to ask this as a general thing. What should we expect for the customer in 2022? I can start with the Divine.
I'm the, so Trevor, you guys have been picked to kickstart this one. What do we expect from the customer in 2022? I think it's not going to change in 2022. I don't think that the customer is going to be less demanding, right? I think the one thing that Claire said that resonates all the time, especially now, is empathy. We will need to empathize with the customers a bit more because of just what has happened. We've gone through global pandemic, and people are going through just different emotions and probably different losses because of what we're going through. I think we need to be a bit more sympathetic. We need to create products that are a bit more empathetic to the experience of the customer. But I think customers are generally going to be, and I am in the dark now because we've just gone out of the lights, guys, sorry. But I think, yeah, customers are going to just need more empathy and more demanding. They're just going to demand for better experience than ever.
Well, you should demand for better experience from KPLC right now.
I think so.
So, Trevor, what are you seeing as the biggest trend in customer experience this year?
I think what she's said is largely correct. I think customer bases, especially even just in terms of the consumption of technology, they're becoming more enlightened, more aware. Like I talk to my parents and they tell me, oh, I've done this and I've changed my SIM card, I've done X, Y, and Z, and they're learning more about technology. So I expect that customers are going to be demanding more. And as businesses, we need to step up and be able to give them the kind of service and products that they deserve.
All right. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you so much for your time. I am so pleased that you came for this panel and you've been very generous with your answers. I wish you a lovely afternoon and I hope to see you soon again. Thank you.